50 schoolgirls in Nigeria recently escaped captivity after being abducted by armed Islamist-linked group. Fellas, we got some good news in Nigeria. Yes, good news in Nigeria. Isn't that amazing? It is amazing. Absolutely. This is Nigeria right here on the map. Nigeria is a place that's very interesting. You know, it makes a lot of good music. You know this guy? His name is Burna Boy. You know this one? Davido. You know this one? Wizkid, right? You know them. Yeah, some of the biggest musicians in Africa. Okay, biggest music artists playing Afrobeat. You know, everybody loves Afrobeat right now. It's a vibe, Afrobeat, Burna Boy, Davido and stuff. Yeah, so they are Nigerians. Nigeria is a very interesting country. It's one of the richest in terms of petroleum in Africa. I think the richest African man or richest black man, I think, if I'm not mistaken, Aliko Dangote, I'm sure you heard about him, is very much involved in many issues. I mean, many positive things, petroleum, cement, foods, and many other things. Very rich guy. Great stuff. Anyway, we're talking about Nigeria. We're not talking about Aliko Dangote today. 50 schoolgirls in Nigeria recently escaped captivity after being abducted by armed Islamist-linked group. Congratulations to Nigeria. Congratulations, Pia Makofi. We like that. So obviously this incident is part of one of the largest mass kidnapping in the country in recent history. So if you don't know, Nigeria has a lot of kidnapping happening. Unfortunately, every single day, people are worried. Okay, every week we hear stories of people being abducted. They abduct people, they keep them there, they call their families asking for ransoms. Sometimes it's paid, they're freed, sometimes they're unalive. They shoot them and they take them. Sometimes they go to schools and they abduct females. They take only females, okay, young girls below 18 years old. They take them away. For what? You can imagine. These people are northerners, okay? You can see Nigeria two parts, north and the south. The north is mostly Muslim, okay? Hausas and Fulanis. The south is a lot more people. Anyway, we're not going to get into that today. You have the Igbos in the east and the Yorubas on the west. It's a lot of things. Let's focus on the north. Now, in the northern part of Nigeria, it's mayhem happening. I'm sure you heard Donald Trump talk about recently saying he want to come to Nigeria and bring some peace because Nigeria seemed not to be able to take care of it. He was talking after many Christians were being unalived in Nigeria.
Christianity is facing an existential threat in Nigeria. Thousands and thousands of Christians are being killed. Radical Islamists are responsible for this mass slaughter. I am hereby making Nigeria a country of particular concern. That's a legal definition.
Now, 50 girls that were abducted by armed Islamists have found a way to escape. It's a great news. We're very happy to hear about that. On November 21st, 2025, gunmen stormed St. Mary's Catholic Primary and Secondary School in Papiri, Niger State. They took about 300 children and 12 teachers. They were abducted in a raid and making this one of Nigeria's biggest school kidnapping. 300 people were taken away. Imagine, 300 people. Now, this happened on November 21st, 2025. On November 23rd, 2025, 50 girls managed to flee their captors and reunite to their families. On the 21st, they are kidnapped. On the 23rd, they found a way to run away and go back to their families. And we're very happy to hear that. Now, this is good news, right? Congratulations. Piga Makofi. Great stuff. We like that. We like stories like this. Let me just remind you here that a couple of days ago, the Nigerian government was saying they're going to do whatever they can to make sure that some of these girls that are abducted go back home. Okay, just before that, there were about 25 girls that were abducted again in a school. A school supposed to have security, a school supposed to have intelligence services like looking, and a school supposed to have vigilantes making sure that nothing happens. Now, people are asking questions. You abduct 300 children and 50 escape. How did 50 escape? People are asking questions like, how did 50 escape? I mean, you can understand if 3 escaped or 4 escaped or 5. Like 50 escaped? You didn't shoot them like you usually do? You didn't do anything? How did they escape? How did they escape? And people are criticizing the government, saying that, well, maybe this is a game played by themselves. Some people are saying maybe the government knows exactly what's happening where these girls are. And because of the pressure coming from Trump and everything else, the government needs to show to the world that they are very well capable of regaining some of these girls. Because let me remind you here, when Boko Haram took children, hundreds are still missing from the time they took some of the girls. Before they took 200 something girls, 100 are still missing today. Now, how these 50s ran away? How did they run away? and reunited with their families after the government said we're going to do a thorough job to make sure we're getting them back. So people are asking questions. Do you think maybe these people are right to say the government knows what's happening and this is just a way to sort of, send a message to the world out there? Well, you see some of the girls, 50 of them came back. So we are very well capable of getting them back. Or do you think this is really genuine that these 20, that's out of 300 children, 50 managed to come back? Where about the teachers? Where are the teachers? I think it's interesting to mention, even though people don't like saying it, that people that are abducting people in Nigeria are Muslims. People that are unaliving other people from church, because many people are being killed at church, are Muslims. Now, this is not about Muslims against Christians. This is about a tendency. You look for churches that go into mosques and abduct people in Nigeria, you won't find it. We need to mention this. You don't say it has nothing to do with nothing. I think it's repetitive. When it's repetitive, you need to understand. So these basically are people that consider themselves as Muslim and they believe their version of Muslim doesn't tolerate other people. They don't tolerate passive Muslims. They don't tolerate Christians. And this is a real problem. I mean, listen to this man, an American congressman that says something interesting to say.
And I want to ask this question, because this seems to be sort of part of the central argument. Well, this isn't necessary. Well, certainly the Trump administration believed it was necessary the first go around. And I want to ask this question. Did things improve when the Biden administration removed the CPC?
Thank you for your question, Representative Hyde.
And just for the record, I'm seeing a number of heads shaking no in the right behind you. And these are people that may have a little better information than what the American media is, and they're all nodding their head right now. So go ahead.
Thank you for your question, Representative Huizenga. As you mentioned, violence has increased over the last several years. It was unfortunate that the Biden administration chose to remove Nigeria as a CPC in 2021 and 2022 and 2023, and President Trump's bold action to redesignate them is a wake-up call to the Nigerian government. And as you mentioned, extremist religious ideology is, of course, a primary motivator of these attacks. The attackers themselves use religious language. They target churches. They target Christians on holidays.
Proportionally, do we see Christians killing Muslims in Christian areas of Nigeria the way that we are seeing radicalized Islamists killing Christians in Muslim areas of Nigeria?
What I can tell you, Representative Huizenga, is that Christians are disproportionately targeted based on their population.
Exactly. And that was really their question. Is the Tinubu government doing enough? And I had to answer, no, they are not. And I do not understand how a delegation can come here to the United States and downplay and come up with all of these other excuses as to why this is allowed to happen. It should be rejected and should be called out for what it is.
That's what it is, fellas. People are asking questions. 300 people were abducted. 50 managed to escape. 50 is a great number, and people are asking questions. A few days ago, a government jailed this man, Nandi Kanu. This is a separatist leader. This is the Igbo man that leads a group of Nigerian people that don't want to be part of Nigeria. Let me just remind you here that this is Igbo people, okay? Igbo people in the east, Yoruba in the west, north is with Hausa and Fulanis. Now, in 1960, Nigeria got independence. Let me remind you that Nigeria has many different ethnic groups. Over 500, I believe, languages, many different people, different culture, different beliefs, different everything. Now, when the British came, they forced all of these people to stay together. They created what they call a country named Nigeria. Now, these people, Igbo people, don't believe the Nigerians. A lot of them still believe they deserve what they call Biafra, which is for them a country that should exist. So in 1967, big war started between the Igbo people in the Biafra against what is called Nigeria, because the people of Biafra wanted to have their own country, because they feel like they were being marginalized, they were being looked down upon, they were not being treated accordingly, not appreciated. So they wanted to create their own thing. Now, they went to war from 1967 against Nigeria, the country, and unfortunately many people were unalive. It was so difficult to beat them that the Nigerian government had to asphyxiate their route by blocking food, medicine, and all of that. And now many people in Biafra were unalive from famine, lack of food. It was very difficult for them. They didn't beat them with weapons, they beat them with famine. Now, up until now, many Nigerians still believe they shouldn't be Nigerians. They don't want to be part of it. Are they wrong to believe that? Question mark. Now, this guy, Nnamdi Kanu, was arrested because they say he's a terrorist. He's inciting people into hatred and terrorism things. Well, many Nigerians believe it's not truth. What they're trying to do is to silence him because he's telling the truth about the government. This is what some Nigerians believe.
As in Nnamdi Kanu may broadcast, and so what? And you convict him for terrorism for mere words.
He's telling the truth about the government complacency on terrorists in the north, but they don't like it that the Igbo people want to have their own country. I mean, people in the government majorities are Muslims, okay, and people that are doing all the things in the north, like they say, are mostly, curiously, Muslims. And this again is not about the Muslims and the Christians. We're just stating facts. And people that are saying that there's no Christian genocide in Nigeria are Muslims. Okay, it's curious. We also want to see Christians say there's no genocide. I think it's interesting to see 1 or 2 or 4 or 5 preeminent Christians say there's no Christian genocide. Now, what is crazy is we have not seen them arrest terrorists. Not many of them, putting them to jail, but this was very publicized. The situation of this Nnamdi Kanu being publicized like the separatist is going to jail forever, for life imprisonment. I mean, how many people has he killed? I'm not sure. Has he killed? Let us know. Maybe we don't know. But how many people the terrorists have killed and unalive every single day? People are still saying there's no genocide. They are not doing anything. Some people in the north are saying those terrorists are our brothers. The United States of America will ban South Africa from the G20. Crazy stuff. Will the US do it? We got some very interesting things coming here, and I think we need to share this with you. Yes, this is exactly what we feared, but it's here. After going back and forth with South Africa, Donald Trump refusing to attend the G20 summit in South Africa in boycott against the South African government, which he accused of promoting, if not tolerating, genocide against white people. Donald Trump has spoken on Truth Media. This is what he said. We're going to put it on the screen so you can see. Trump said the United States did not attend G20 in South Africa because the South African government refuses to acknowledge or address the horrific human rights abuse endured by Afrikaners or other descendants of Dutch, French, or German settlers. So Trump has spoken about this, accusing South Africa of tolerating genocide against white farmers. Let's continue. To put it bluntly, they are killing white people and randomly allowing their farm to be taken from them. Perhaps worst of all, at the conclusion of the G20, South Africa refused to hand off the G20 presidency to a senior representative from the US Embassy, who attended the closing ceremony. Therefore, at my direction, South Africa will not be receiving an invitation to the 2026 G20, which will be hosted in the great city of Miami, Florida next year. South Africa has demonstrated to the world they are not a country worthy of membership anywhere. We are going to stop all payment and subsidies to them, effective immediately. Thank you for your attention for this matter. As for us to understand, I think what's happening here is the United States of America is very unhappy about one thing. What is it? After boycotting the trip to South Africa, a communication was directed to South Africa whilst the G20 was happening. And what they understood at the time was America was willing to send somebody to attend the G20. But at that specific time, a question was asked to President Cyril Ramaphosa while he was on the podium, and his response was this.
We have received notice from the United States, a notice which we are still in discussions with them over, about a change of mind about participating in one shape, form, or other in the summit. So the discussions are still ongoing. This comes really at the late hour before the summit begins. And so therefore we do need to engage in those types of discussions to see how practical it is and what it finally really means.
So what we understand is the United States of America wanted to send somebody to finally attend the G20. You know, the G20 they boycotted. Trump boycotted the G20, accusing South Africa of allowing genocide, not acknowledging the genocide of white farmers in the land. After Ramaphosa said in these terms, like we don't know and laughing, we need to check the practicalities of things. Like, okay, they boycotted the thing, but now they want to come at the very, very late stage. We don't know how we need to see how practical this is. It didn't sound very good. Very shortly after, this was the reaction of America.
The South African president running his mouth a little bit against the United States and the president of the United States earlier today, and that language is not appreciated by the president or his team.
So the lady clearly said that the president of South Africa is running his mouth a little bit against South Africa, which is not necessarily the right way to address a president of a free country, let alone somebody who could be your grandfather. It was clearly where things went south. She clarified saying we did not want to send anybody to attend the meeting. We actually wanted to send somebody to do the handover of the presidency of G20. Remember, next year, America is supposed to assume the presidency of G20, like this year was South Africa. Now, normally at the handover, it's usually a big ceremony between presidents. They shake hands, people attend it, they clap hands. They do an entire ceremony. But this time around, America will not send Donald Trump because he refused boycotting South Africa, but they wanted to send somebody. Who is this person? Who can they send? They chose to send U.S. Representative Mark D. Dilliard. Who is he? He's a chargé d'affaires of the U.S. Embassy in Pretoria. Chargé d'affaires? Well, South Africa said that's a junior diplomat. Why not send the ambassador, out of respect? Why send a chargé d'affaires? It's like, okay, I'll send you my son. You can have a discussion with my son about properties. I mean, we neighbors, we have an issue we need to talk about regarding properties. Well, you want to send me talk to your 21-year-old son. It doesn't sit right. I'm a father. You know what I'm saying? So South Africa said, we're not doing this. We're not going to do this. We're not going to get our president go talking to a chargé d'affaires, not even ambassador. The American ambassador in South Africa is available. It was announced by Trump on the 27th of March, 2025. His name is Leo Brent Bozel III. He is the ambassador of America in South Africa. He could represent the president, but they didn't use him. They wanted to send the junior diplomats to go meet the president of a country. They're boycotting. I don't know, whichever you want to do it, whether you don't mean anything wrong with that. The simple fact that you boycotted the president and you send a junior diplomat, it sends a message. I could say, I can't come, but I will send you somebody that can represent me. We know the practices. That makes sense. South Africa said, no, we're not going to accept this. The handover will not be done between the president and the junior diplomat. We are sending somebody that's at his level. So South Africa delegated Director General of the Department of International Relations and Cooperation, Mr. Zane Dangor. He went to meet the American diplomat. And obviously, that made big noise. That's when Trump said, you know what? We are not inviting South Africa to the G20 2026. And South Africa shouldn't be part of any organization that is credible. Well, President Ramaphosa reacted by describing it as regrettable. He said the announcement by the US that South Africa will not be invited to take part of the next year G20 summit in Florida. Well, Mr. Ramaphosa is usually very calm. I don't know if it's wisdom, perhaps, you tell me. The first time he was accused of hovering a genocide in South Africa, they went all the way to the United States of America, feeling like they went to justify themselves, trying to explain, which was not necessarily needed, as a sovereign country, sovereign nation. They went to the US explaining, showing to the world that whatever accusation you have against us is not truth. He showed a lot of humility. And again, here he says, well, it's very regrettable that America, through Trump, feels they can ban us, literally not invite us to G20. Now, does America own G20? That's a big question mark. Many people feel this is a punishment by Trump to South Africa. Well, social media reacted to this. Let's see what social media had to say about this. There's this person named Noedine Isaac. He says Trump cannot get over the fact that an African country has the absolute audacity to defend its sovereignty, or that a black leader dares to not fall in line. What do you think about that? The next one says none of South African political parties, including those that represent Afrikaners and white communities in general, have claimed that there is a genocide in South Africa. So what is Trump's game? What is happening? Adrian Lombard, I see a flag of South Africa in the United States of America. He's probably a South African living in America or a South African that loves America. He says nonsense. South Africa has a crime and black racism problem. As a white citizen of South Africa, the US is 100% correct to not provide visas to the corrupt South African government for next year G20. How do you feel about that? Now, if the government is corrupt, is that a reason why they should be refused a visa? I don't know. You let me know about that. The next person says, President Trump, did you know that gun-related fatalities remain significant in the US? With 8,000 gun-related deaths so far in 2025, is that genocide? And we should all put effort to deal with such to realize a better world, not to target anyone on the basis of non-factual information. So he's basically saying that Trump should focus on what's happening in America because crime happens everywhere. The next person, he says he refused to acknowledge the UN-recognized genocide in Gaza, but is out here bragging about some unproven, baseless land grab in South Africa. Double standard. How do you feel about that? The next person, China Unstoppable Rise. He says there is no genocide of white people being perpetrated by the South African government. The Global South has the moral duty to stand in solidarity with South Africa and to boycott G20 Summit 2026. Is that a good idea or not? If that was a good idea, do you think the Global South has the means to do that or the guts to face America? Kevin Long said they are just not allowing a bunch of racist black people in their country. So this guy says that black South Africans are racist people. Do you think they are racist? What are they fighting about? These people say that South African government, the black government, has instituted over 100 racist laws. Basically, these laws go along the lines of trying to get black people to cover, the gap that was created during apartheid by giving them opportunities. Are these racist laws, or these are laws to compensate the difficulties and the pain that was occurred during apartheid? Sunflower says farm murders are the only violent crime where the knee-jerk reaction of some is to immediately dismiss it by reciting South Africa's general murder statistic like mantra. So he's basically trying to say that why every time we talk about farm murders, everybody wants to talk about other murders in South Africa? Why can we not acknowledge the murders of white South Africans? Does he have a point? Absolutely, he's got a point. You cannot just erase something negative happening to a specific group of people just because it's happening to everybody. On the same token, you cannot make that thing the exclusive problem of a nation because it's happening to a specific group of people. So does it deserve to be attended to? Absolutely. It needs the attention that's necessary. So whether it's the specific group of people enduring a situation or the entirety of the nation moving to a better situation. So that's what it is, fellas. Donald Trump said he was going to boycott G20 in South Africa, accusing South Africa of accepting and not acknowledging the genocide of white people in South Africa, a genocide that's been debunked,
We have too many deaths, but it's across the board. It's not only white farmers, it's across the board.
South Africa is riddled with crime, lots of crime. South Africa, unfortunately, is one of the countries with the most crime in the world. We're talking about Johannesburg, Durban, and Cape Town. Unfortunately, crime is a subject that affects everybody. Let me know how you feel about this. It was a great pleasure. Do you think America has the right to block South Africa from attending G20? Like it said here, the USA will be like a host of a party. He doesn't own the room. So he doesn't have the rights to block South Africa from going. But what the US can do is they can not issue visas to South African representatives. They can do that. In the same way they've blocked some of the people from attending the United Nations, like the prosecutor that condemned the prime minister of the country you don't name. He's not allowed to go to the United States of America, even if he's going to the United Nations because the US refused to issue him a visa. Well, the German Chancellor Friedrich Merz said publicly that he would seek to persuade Trump to extend an invitation to South Africa. Now, I don't know how this is important. If legally Trump does not have the right to exclude South Africa from this event, why would you as a chancellor of a country say, I will speak to Trump so he can allow you? Doesn't that give him more legitimacy to what he's doing? I don't know. What is clear here is this one. The first time South Africa was accused of genocide, they sent people to the US to justify themselves. That's what it was. This time around, they don't want to justify themselves. It feels like they are ready for anything. They don't show it openly. It's not, we're going to war, but it's like, you know what? It's fine. It's all fine. Brotherhood in Africa, it's among 3 countries. Okay? All of you are not brothers. You're lying to each other. You just look at people that are black like you call them brothers. You are not brothers. You don't know what brotherhood is. 3 countries in Africa are brothers. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. This is how it is. Nigerian soldiers are in Mali, Bamako. Here they are. Here's Niger, here's Mali. Soldiers from Niger are in Bamako. Bamako is the capital of Mali. They're rejoicing. Look how happy they are. Look at them cooking. Look. Cutting inyama. You know, inyama is meat. Cutting inyama. African people just love meat. Like, you have no idea. African people love meat. I know black people in America love meat too. So bad. You know? Yeah. Black people all across the world just love meat. It's just crazy because a lot of black people, you see them when they eat food that's not meat, they're still hungry. It's like they haven't eaten. Like a lot of black people could never be vegetarians because it's just crazy. Food is meat. Like if meat is not present, the party is not good. Like you gotta have meat. You like grilled meat. You know what I mean? Choma, nyama choma, braai. That's what you call it. You know, barbecue in America. Anyway, let's get back on track. Niger soldiers are in Mali right now and they're very happy. What are they doing there? Well, they went there as a convoy to 82 fuel tankers from Niger all the way to Mali. So basically they were guarding a convoy of 82 tankers from Niger all the way to Mali. These tankers were full with fuel.
We have come home here in Mali to show our people in the AES region, contrary to everything that might be said, that we are here for these people and we will do everything to ensure that these people, that all our cities are supplied. That is the primary mission of the strategic escort. The second mission is also to continue securing our territory and always prove to the people that this is the people's army.
Brotherhood has to be proven, brother. You know, this is brotherhood. Brotherhood has to be proven. Does brotherhood have anything to do with skin of color? I'm just asking you. Are we brothers just because we have the same kind of skin? Are we brothers just because we come from the same countries? I mean, countries are bullshit anyway. Countries are basically creations of Europeans when they went to Africa. Because Africa had never countries before. There were kingdoms, there were ethnic groups and human beings. There was no countries. Is brotherhood based on a passport color because you have the same kind of passport, you brothers? I don't think so, because people of your passport can do you wrong. People that speak your home language can do you wrong. They can be your worst enemies. And sometimes you find people from very far away becoming your real brothers, pushing you forward and helping you become great in life. So the convoy of Nigerian soldiers arrived in Bamako on the 22nd of November 2025 after a journey of nearly 1,400 kilometers. That's a long distance, brother. That's a long distance. It was 82 tankers with fuel offered by this man right here, the president of Niger, Abdourahmane Tiani, as a donation to Mali. Why? Because Mali is going through a very difficult time, and you need to understand this. Escort was composed by Nigerian pickup trucks, armored vehicles, motorcycles. They all provided security throughout the entire route. Security against who? Against terrorists. Jinn. These are the people that are blocking fuel from entering Mali. Now, for context, so you can understand exactly what's happening. Now, Mali has been facing a very severe fuel shortage, okay, since September. It's been very difficult. No fuel, okay, due to a blockade imposed by Jinn, jihadists affiliated to Al-Qaeda. Now, these people are blocking roads, they're ambushing fuel tankers, making sure that the country doesn't have fuel. You know, brother, fuel is very important. I know we don't see it. We think internet is the most important thing today with this generation, but fuel is very important. Why? When there's no fuel, there is no life. Not in the 21st century. Basically, when there's no fuel in a country, the price of everything goes up. Why? Because everything needs to be transported by truck. Trucks use fuel, okay? We need fuel to move. So your medicine, your food, your entertainment, everything, your hair, stylist, everything goes up. When there is not enough fuel, obviously the prices of everything goes up. Now, what are the consequences in Mali? There are endless lines at gas stations. Many cars trying to get fuel. Many cars trying to get fuel. And with soaring prices, you're seeing the black markets being born. Obviously, people that work into the business of fuel will try to get some of the fuel into the black market at a price that's very expensive. So you either have to wait on the line as car number 10 or go to the black market and buy fuel at an expensive price. So whoever that gives you the fuel is more than happy to sell you the fuel at an expensive price. And it can make it very difficult for you to get fuel from the petrol station. So you can go buy him. Because at the end of the day, they are making the profit. So there are endless lines at gas station, people trying to get fuel. There's soaring prices of black market. Number 3, there's closure of schools and universities. So Young Malians cannot go to school because there's no fuel. There's no taxis. You know, in Africa, people use minibus. You call it minibus as a taxi to move all around the place. Now, this operation is part of a solidarity within the IOS. And the IOS is these three countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. What do they have in common? They all speak French. Why do they speak French? Because they were colonized by the French. What has occurred? Well, they decided to kick out the French. How? Because after being colonized by the French in the 1960s, they got independence. But it was a fake independence because even though the French say, we're leaving your country, we're going to let you run your own countries, they still made sure they had puppet presidents running the countries. Okay, so they had presidents that were Africans and black, but they were serving the interest of the French. Now, people were not doing great in these countries until these three people came. When they went into their respective countries, they did what we call coup d'etat, so overthrowing the president. After overthrowing their president, the first thing they do, they cut ties with France because they felt like their economy was being sucked dry by France. How come Niger has so much uranium, but they still live in poverty? Meanwhile, France is taking all the uranium at a very cheap price. How cheap? France used to buy uranium from Niger at $0.80 a kilogram, while buying the same quality of uranium from Canada at $200. Imagine that. $0.80 a kilogram for $200 for the same quality of uranium. That shows you how they see you. You're just a bunch of rats to their eyes. Now, these three people say, enough. We don't want cooperation with you anymore. They cut off relationship with France. And now, some experts believe that France is behind all these moves. What move? The petroleum move. What is this move about? The move is simple. These terrorist groups are trying to block fuel from entering these countries. And by blocking fuel, you're going to destabilize the entire country. Nothing's going to function. The government can't move. Kids can't go to school. Prices of food will soar. And people will be unhappy. And it's going to make it easy when they come and take over the country. Now, people believe France is behind that. Is it correct? I don't know. You let me know how you feel about that. Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso are showing brotherhood. Okay, brotherhood is not just when things are good. As a matter of fact, brotherhood is actually proven when things are wrong. When you're unhappy, when you're sad, when you're going through difficulties in life, people that stand behind you, those are your brothers. When you're facing some of the worst adversaries in your life, people that stand by you are your brothers. I'm the kind of guy, if you're my brother, I mean, you're my friend, even if there are 32 people trying to beat you up, well, brother, I'm not going to leave you by yourself. I'm going to stand there. They must beat both of us up. I'm not going to go running to the police, calling the police, hey, they're beating up my friends. No, that's not me. I've been the kind of person that believe a strong man needs to have a woman who's ready to defend his life. Meaning if a stranger walks into your house with a gun or something, and you happen to have a gun in your bedroom, and the stranger's got a gun on your head, your wife shouldn't be praying, oh, please don't shoot him, don't kill him. She should run to the bedroom, pull out the gun, and shoot the shit out of this guy. Boom, boom, boom. And that's what you need. You don't need somebody to cry like, oh, they killed him. I can't believe they put a gun on my head and I just fell on the ground. It's the same for brotherhood. You need brothers that are ready to die with you. Africans call each other brothers. They lie to one another. Brother, my brother, my brother, my brother. But when you come out, you must go back to your country. Yeah. Well, Niger, Burkina Faso are showing you brotherhood like Europeans always show you. You can't mess with a European country without other European countries getting angry about it. They will push you away. Let me tell you something. When Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali decided to kick out France soldiers from their countries because they used to stay there since independence, they had some soldiers staying in these countries. You see all these countries here where they speak French? After independence, France left soldiers permanently in bases in those places. And presidents were changing like this. And people thought it was just internal coup d'etat. But many people believe it was directed from very far away. Now, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, when these three people came into power, they kicked out those militaries and you must go back to your country. You're like, what, 2,000? You need to go back to your country. We don't need you here. That is brotherhood. Now, after they did that, you know what happened? Denmark was not happy with Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. They say we are closing our embassies and taking all of our aid back to Europe because we see that your interests are not European anymore. I mean, Mali, Burkina Faso never said they were the enemies of Europe. They say we don't want French anymore in our country. We are independent countries. We don't want them here anymore. They never said we don't want no European. But Denmark said, okay, we also are calling out our ambassador because you're chasing the French. That is brotherhood. I don't need to understand what you're going through. I just need to know that you have problems with my brother. I'm going to push myself aside. I'm not saying I'm going to go to war with you directly, not understanding. But for the first view, I'm going to pull myself aside, trying to understand from my brother's perspective and pull a decent, logical conclusion to the situation. Brotherhood is not about skin color, my brother. Because people from your skin color will unalive you for their own interest. If brotherhood was about countries, people like this one, Thomas Sankara, wouldn't have been unalived by his own brother. This man right here, he was his friend, his best friend. But for his personal interest, he sold him to foreigners. Don't be blinded, my man. Don't lie to yourself. Go find your brothers. Are you African Americans? Well, your brothers are not necessarily African Americans. I'm sorry. You may find among them people that are your brothers. You may find amongst them, maybe your brothers are actually somewhere in Tanzania. How do you know? How do you not know about that? Maybe in Kenya. You can only discover when you experience. Okay? You experience proximity. Do you speak to all African Americans? You don't. Do you get along with everybody in Chicago? You don't. Or in Atlanta? You don't. It's the same in Africa. You can't get along with everybody. You can only get along with people that prove to be your brothers, your friends at war. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso are the only brothers in Africa from now. And we need to move toward that direction. Number one, people from these countries don't need visas to each other. They can go visit one another, no place. No issue, no problem. Number two, you see this guy here? This guy from Nigeria, he was one of the commanders of ECOWAS. This is ECOWAS. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso used to be part of ECOWAS. After they threw out the French and asked them to leave, ECOWAS was curiously very angry. Why were they angry? Well, we found out they used to be sponsored by Europeans. Well, if you're sponsored by Europeans, you as ECOWAS is supposed to be a group of Africans coming together, helping one another's countries for the interests of Africans. Are you really for the interests of Africans if you are being sponsored by Europeans? And that's explained why they were so angry when these three countries decided to kick out the French. And guess what they did next? They went to Europe asking for Europeans' blessings before they go and attack Niger.
Visit this afternoon is to explain our position to the European Union, what has informed the various measures that ECOWAS has taken, and the collaboration we seek from all our partners. As you know, the world is a global village. One event in a particular place affects the whole world. So that is why we find it important to come to Spain to talk to our partners from the European Union so that they understand what we are doing and give us the support that they are able to give us.
Look at Niger on the map. This is the president of Niger, Tiani. Before him was this guy, Bazoum Mohamed. Now, ECOWAS was very angry when Tiani overtook Bazoum. He didn't kill him, he just put him in house arrest. ECOWAS was ready. Look at them. Listen to this guy talking.
All member states of ECOWAS present here today have all committed elements. They have committed their own equipment. They have committed their own resources to undertake this mission. So I tell you, we are ready to go anytime the order is given. The D-Day is also decided, which we are not going to disclose. There will be no more meetings of the chiefs of defense staff. If there will be, it will be probably in the course of the operation if there is the need to adjust the operation.
He said they are ready to go, meaning all these countries of Africa came together, putting weapons and logistics together so they can go unalive people in an African country. Were they white? Were they Indians? Were they Asians? No, they were Africans and black like you, ready to go and do mayhem at the next black person's house because they're not happy with what he's doing in his house. It's crazy. So you say for the interest of the Africans, you need to go back and fight the people that have started something new, but you don't take into consideration that you're going to be making people bleed. So a lot of innocent people will die if you attack. That doesn't bother you. So when the terrorists attack the country, you don't ever come together as ECOWAS saying, let's put on an army of people to go fight terrorists. But only when children from the same country decide to take up their country and chase out the foreigners that are French. Now, that bothers you. Guess who was the brother of Niger at that time? These two countries, Mali and Burkina Faso. They say, if you dare attack Niger, you're going to be declaring war against us. So it's going to be havoc and mayhem all across West Africa.
Warned that any military intervention against Niger will be considered as a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali. I repeat, 4. Warned that any military intervention against Niger will be considered as a declaration of war against Burkina Faso and Mali.
That is how ECOWAS resolved not to attack Niger, but they were ready. They put money together, weapons together, and people together. Why don't they put weapons and money and all that stuff against terrorists who are unaliving people? Why don't they come together to find solutions against fuel shortage? Because they are involved. Well, experts believe this is all cooked from somewhere in Paris. Okay, the goal is to separate you people so they can manage you. That's how it is. Brotherhood has nothing to do with skin color. Brotherhood is proven, my brother. I understand you love me, I love you too, but we need to prove each other brotherhood through small actions, through presence, through support. If you're fighting an enemy, I'm coming to your side. I'm fighting with you. I'm not going to look at you from the side trying to, no, I'm in the fight with you. Nigerian people coming with a convoy of fuel because the strategy of terrorists was let's cut the fuel from the countries. They're going to be suffering and it's going to be painful. Well, Niger's got a lot of fuel. Niger sent 82 tankers filled with fuel with their soldiers. Now, something that you need to take into consideration is these terrorists are not necessarily doing the same thing in Niger. Practically, Niger's soldiers don't have the experience of fighting terrorists on the road. Malians do have the experience. But Niger, in the name of brotherhood, has sent his children, meaning his soldiers, to go accompany the tankers. In case they met these terrorists on the road in ambushes, they are ready to fight. So they're giving away the experience that the Malians have. I mean, they could have said, Mali, please send soldiers and tankers so you can come and get petroleum. They didn't do that. They said, we're going to send you tankers and soldiers, escort to protect. Oh, by the way, if they get attacked, it's great because they're going to acquire the experience they need. Now, RS also are working together in terms of army. They are integrating into each other like America has done, like Europe has done. And the rest of Africa is just looking because people only care for their personal interests. Let me know how you feel about this. Let me know how you feel about it. Look at them chanting. Look at them happy with each other. You can't even tell which one is from which country because countries are lies. Look at them. Tell me which one is Malian. No, look at these people. Tell me which one is Malian, which one is Nigerian.
Here we feel at home. Here we are truly at home. As you can see, everyone is going about their own business. Honestly, we are at home here. We feel good here.
The only difference is the flag. The flag created by who? Who created flags for countries? Yeah, that shows you the truth. You see the map? Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger. It's people from the same area. They are the same people. And they're coming together the way they were created. God bless.